Your brain cannot tell the difference between imagining and actually seeing. So
Let's say day's finished at work, had a rough day. All of a sudden, I get an email. A bank in the United States has gone broke.
yeah.
And is this the start of the GFC, which I might have experienced? And, you're starting to imagine all the worst things.
Mm-hmm.
And you get stressed out.
Humans are really amazing because we can imagine. We don't know what other animals can do that, but your brain cannot tell the difference between imagining and actually seeing. So I've got this great picture, and so they put someone in a scanner, an MRI, and they showed them a picture of a white bear, and their occipital lobe, their visual cortex, lit up. Then they said to that person, "Imagine a white bear," and similar region, the occipital cortex, visual cortex, lit up. And so when you're imagining all of those catastrophic events that could happen, your brain will activate your fight or flight system, even though you're sitting at a desk. There's no bear like trying to, tear your throat off. But your brain that's a very primitive system, and it has a better be safe than sorry policy. So it thinks, I'm thinking these things. I don't know if it's real or imagined. I better just produce some adrenaline and cortisol just in case. And that's got a 30-minute half-life. So if you're trying to go to bed and you're like, oh, go to sleep, and then 30 minutes later you're still like, oh, I go to sleep. It's a vicious
So
circle.
30-minute half-life means that at 30 minutes, half of that is still in your system, and half's gone out of your system.
Yeah.
So you're saying that your brain will produce amount of cortisol and adrenaline as if it was happening in front of you.
Yeah, as if someone was coming to steal your money, like literally, like with a knife or something.
So what's okay? So, because I'm immediately thinking I should get all my money out of this particular place and move it out of this bank to another bank, or have I got my money in the Silicon Valley Bank? I've got to move it out of there to some other place. What's going to happen? Am I only going to get 50%? So you start to panic.
Stress is the worst time to make cognitive decisions.
If I've got cortisol running in my system, I'd imagine my genetic evolution, my system is such that my judgment becomes impaired with all this stuff racing around.
Yeah.
Really, all I'm able to do is take off that way or wrestle the bear to the
ground.
Binary,
yes, zeros and ones. Yeah.
So it's okay. So
are you asking me for financial advice?
No. But I'm asking you, what do I do in this situation? So because my brain doesn't allow me to make good judgments.
Absolutely, it really does. Cortisol really changes the lens with which you see the world. You become reactive, you become hypervigilant, you become have a bias for negativity, you become quite myopic in your thoughts, you become less generous, you're delayed discounting, so your short term, like you know that delayed discounting, do you want $100 now or do you want $150 tomorrow? That totally changed to become like, I want to fix things now. And so it is really dangerous to make big decisions in that moment when you know that you're physiologically activated. So if your heart rate is over 100 beats per minute, you've gone into an amygdala hijack. Like you are not, your access to your prefrontal cortex is diminished. So
which is where all your
smart stuff
decision making gets done. That's your management system at the front.
Yeah. And so there's no one answer for everyone. So everyone experiences stress in a different way. It's dependent on your genetics, your intrauterine environment, how much stress your mum was under, your own blood glucose levels at that moment, how much sleep you've had, what you've eaten, and also the culmination of what other events have happened that day. So I've actually got a decision making, which I'm giving to the guys who I'm working with in the financial industry. Okay, before you make a big decision, these are the psychophysiological factors you should be aware of.
Yeah, so you're monitoring stuff.
No, yeah. So
heart rate, for example?
Have you been drinking? What's your heart rate? Have you had a good sleep? Have you had an argument with your partner? Have you exercised? What have you eaten? What are the high stakes? Like, who's going to hate you if this happens? So this
What's
matrix.
The gravity of the decision?
Yeah.
What's the gravity of the event, I should say?
Yeah. And so depending on your history, because your history really plays into it. And so you've gone through the GFC, so you would have some pretty big failure scars, and it'd be terrifying this for you, more so than someone who hadn't. Or maybe if you've come through it really well, you've got a little bit more resilience. Maybe you've kind of I've seen this before, I know I'll be fine. So that's why there's a difference. So just practically, if you're like freaking out, you literally should disengage from whatever you are doing, and you should look at something that you know that you're good at. So read something that you've, like, so if you've written an article and you've got heaps of likes, just go and look at that again. Look at some kind of success factor in your life. And so what that does, it just sort of reminds you that you're not a terrible human being and, you know, you're going to die. Connect, even if you've got this I hate people feeling at the moment, try and get some oxytocin into the system. It's the best cortisol antidote. Pat your dog. You know, do whatever you can to down-regulate that cortisol. Definitely do, if you can, run. But no more than 60 minutes. If you run more than 60 minutes, your cortisol will go up and your testosterone will stop. So you've got to, like, not all stress is equal. So if it's a mental stress, a physical stress, it's a social stress, it's a memory stress, what the protocol for that stress is different. So if it's a mental stress, maybe you should go and do a float.
Maybe, as in a float tank.
Yeah. Yep. If you can meditate, do that. I'm actually really bad at it. If you like swimming, do that. Distract if you can, because if you say to your brain, don't think about that thing, what does your brain do?
Yeah.
Thinks about that thing. So what we have, if you're trying to go to sleep and you're really stressed, I have this thing called an ASTAD, an alternate slightly technical distracting activity, and you should have a bank of them next to your bed. So these are 5 things that your brain can go to stop you thinking about that big stressor. And there'll be things that should be relatively repetitive, will not evoke emotions, and something that makes you feel good. So cooking your favourite meal, doing your yoga asanas, going visualising your running track, visualising out on your surfboard, and then you have them listed down. So one of my favourites is, imagine if you won $500 million, who would you secretly help? Right? And so that's the one I go to if I'm really sort of like activated. And so you need to have a set basket of safe thoughts ready to go to distract you from that fear. And you've got to look, if you've got a wearable, make sure your heart rate's gone down under 100 beats per minute. If you can, try and have a sleep, because during sleep, there's some very important parts of your sleep architecture that are very, very good for anxiety and stress.